Okay, so welcome to week 2 of our newest and latest book study, 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Thank you to everyone that made this a priority to join in. The fact that you guys are here from wherever you are in your day to day shows a lot. It shows intention. It shows that you're willing and wanting to grow. And the fact that we get to do it together is just, it's one of those things that allows accountability, and it allows for us to be able to just brainstorm and learn together. And self-development is such a huge key to our personal lives and our businesses and everything that we do. And so this week we're going through chapter 2, and the second law of Invaluable Laws of Growth is the law of awareness. And I absolutely love this chapter. It's not one we have to go super in depth on, but it's the law of awareness. And what it says is that you must know yourself to be able to grow yourself. And that's true in anything. It doesn't matter what topic of life we're talking about, life or business. You have to first be aware of either where you need to grow or where you need to step outside your comfort zone or whatever that might be to be able to start to change. Right? So even when I went through anxiety, awareness was the first thing. Okay, this is the issue I'm having. I didn't want to admit it. It was hard to admit it. I felt weak admitting it, but that's not what it was at all. And it was actually my first step and the turning point to be able to actually make the changes that I needed to be able to walk the path that I needed to. So a law of awareness is absolutely, it's just so key. I feel like that should almost be law number 1, because without awareness, not a lot can happen. So right in the beginning, we are on page 16 and 17, just gives a couple, stories, and he talks about that movie 50 First Dates, right, where they meet and then he forgets they ever met, and he kind of goes through how terrible it would be to not be aware of what was going on around you. I mean, can you imagine, right? If you think of those that suffer from memory loss, they just, and dementia and things like that, to not have that awareness, and your heart just goes to them. And it's the same for us. If we're not aware, and even when I see others that might not be aware, it's just, your heart aches and it yearns, because you know that nothing can happen until we get to that spot. So at the bottom of 17, he says, do you have a self of direction? So I'm going to read what he says. He says, to grow, you must know yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your interests, your opportunities, right? All the different facets. You must be able to gauge not only where you've been, but also where you're going. So we've often talked about having intent is wonderful, but you need a plan of action. You need a roadmap to actually be able to get there. Says otherwise you can't set a course for where you want to go. And of course, every time you want to learn something, you must be able to take the new thing you've learned today and build upon that to be able to keep growing. So that's where I was just saying before is, let's share what it is from last week that we took into this current week. Right? What impacted us? Because if we don't and we leave that behind, it's going to hinder our building blocks to self-development, to character growth, and all these other things. He says there's 3 different kinds of people. Okay, 3 different kinds of people when it comes to having direction in life. And I love lists. I love breakdowns. And so here's person number 1 on top of page 18. First kind of person is people who don't know what they would like to do. That's a really hard place to be, but it's a really common place to be. You hear a lot of people saying, I don't know what I want to do. And you hear people having a bit of a midlife crisis because they're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have this figured out yet. I just don't really know. I feel like I'm headed in a million different directions. I just don't know. And when you just don't know, you feel like you've got this milkshake multitasking, and you wake up and you feel like it's just scrambled eggs in your brain because you don't have a clear path. And we're trying to do way too many things at once. Right? We get into people pleasing. You find yourself saying yes to things that you're like, I don't even know if that's what I want to do, but yet you're saying yes, and you're running ragged and you're exhausted, and then you're beating yourself up at night because you don't even know if that's what you want to do. So that's person number 1. They're often feeling very confused, and they dabble and they drift. Okay, we're in social marketing, network marketing. I see that all the time, people dabbling everywhere. Do you know what happens then? They don't do anything well. There's lots of great companies, but what I'm saying is choose the one that you feel like you can do well with. Because if you dabble, I see, you dabble in Norwex, then you dabble in Tupperware, and then you dabble in LipSense, and you dabble in Plexus, and you dabble here and you dabble there, and you're trying to do everything, none of it goes well. You're confused, you're not focused. You guys get the point, right? I think we get the point. And so choose one horse, ride it well, and do what it is that makes you should wake up and you should feel excited. You should feel peaceful, you should feel excited, and ready to take it on rather than feeling like you're being pulled in a million different directions. Person number 2, I have a big star beside this one and the whole paragraph's highlighted. Person number 2 is people who know what they'd like to do, but they don't actually do it. Probably the most common category, I would say. She says these people are, he, not she, says these people are usually frustrated. You guys relate to that? You're frustrated sometimes because you know what it is you want and you just can't seem to get there. Every day they experience the gap between where they are and where they want to be. Sometimes they aren't doing what they want because they worry it will cause them to neglect other responsibilities. Okay, we've talked about that. We've heard about that. And some of those could be such as providing for their families. Sometimes they aren't willing to pay the price to learn, to grow, and to move closer where they want to be. Now, with price, I'm not just talking financially. Some people don't want to pay the price of giving up luxuries, of giving up that late night Netflix show, of giving up, that morning coffee to sit on the dock, but then they might be missing a team Zoom like this. Sitting on the dock is amazing. I wouldn't want to miss it either. But do you see what I'm saying? There still has to be that there's still that something that they don't quite want to give up to be able to get to where they know they want to be. Other times, fear prevents you from changing course from what you're currently doing to what you would like to be doing, to pursue a passion. And no matter what the reason is, every single time you miss your potential. Because here's the thing, if you have a desire and a passion for something, example, my husband has an intense passion for farming since he was a little boy. If he wasn't meant to do farming, he wouldn't have that burning passion. If you weren't meant to help people in some capacity, you wouldn't have a desire to help people. You would have a much more selfish attitude. Do you guys see where I'm going with that? There's a reason that you have desires. There's a reason that from 14, 15 years old, my parents mocked and made fun of me. I said they wanted me to go to like corporate America. That was their dream for me. Here's the thing. At 15 or so, I remember standing in my front yard and I said to my parents, I have this burning desire to be able to drive a semi-truck. And my dad about fell on the floor. And then he started mocking me. My dad's a great guy, but he started mocking me and he had all sorts of nicknames like Trucking Heidi and all the rest of it. There is nothing wrong with being a truck driver, and there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to drive a huge piece of equipment. But I also felt very confused because I thought, why do I have this desire to drive this huge semi-truck when I'm in like grade 8 or 9 and I was tracking towards, right, what my parents did, corporate America. So where did this come from and how on earth is that going to fit in? But guess what? There was this desire in me. You guys all know me. What am I doing today? Driving massive farm equipment, right? There was a passion for a reason because God knew that I was going to be marrying a farmer. I didn't know it, but he knew it. And he also knew my husband was going to need help. So can you imagine if I said to my husband, there is no way I'm stepping on the field, right? He'd be like, this is our livelihood. So do you guys see where I'm going? I'm going to get off that train, but you guys see where I'm going with that. So you have passions for a reason. So listen to them. Listen to those heart intents. You guys are here for a reason. You are here for a reason. You have a heart to help people. Person number 3, last type of person, people who know what they'd like to do and then they actually do it. So that's the place you want to be. She says they know themselves. They possess a strong sense of passion. They're focused in purpose and growth in areas that are going to help them actually move closer to their purpose and do what they're created to do. You guys hear me? I keep saying she. It is he, John Maxwell. I'm reading Rachel Hollis's book right now, so that's where the she's coming from. So bear with me. So these people, they know what they want and they go after it. Right?
What? No, you're going to have to wait till I get done. That is so unfair. How's it unfair? Babe, we've been up since 5:30.
Joining with your phone if you
How's
can
it unfair?
Babe, I just got started. Just go ahead.
What do you need to do?
I am trying to do a book study. I do a book study every Saturday. Okay? It's about 30 minutes long, honey.
Okay, well, I can wait 30. See, why can't
Okay, let's continue. All right. Okay. So here's the thing. We've lived in an age disturbed, confused, bewildered, and afraid, right? I'm going to switch over here to gallery view, right? Can you guys raise up your hand if you've ever felt confused, right? Bewildered, sometimes scared? Yeah, because there's so much out there, right? There's so much out in the world. There's so many options. There's so many people to try to please, right? It can feel very confusing. There's many voices of counsel, but few voices of vision. And there's much excitement and feverish activity, but little concert of thoughtful purpose. We're distressed because there's ungoverned, undirected energies and too many things to do, okay? So really be okay with focusing on what is it that I want to do. Now, I don't say it in a selfish way. I say it in a, let's not try to be something that we're not meant to be, right? Isn't that freeing, right? It's freeing to me. I don't have to try to be that Pinterest mom that has my house perfectly decorated for every season. Would I like to be? Of course I would, but it's not me. I've told the kids, you guys, I am sorry. I don't even know how to do it, right? I don't even know how to do it. I can put up a candle and something, but I don't know how to do it. So I'm not going to try to be that, right? I'm not going to try to be one of the Plexus Jewel ambassadors that has a completely different style as me, because you know what? That's exhausting, right? I don't want you guys to try to be me. I don't want Joelle to try to be Suzanne. I don't want Bev to try to be Karen, right? Be true to yourself. So question, how do you find your purpose and passion? Okay, question number 1, ask yourself, do you like what you're doing right now? Okay, do you like what you're doing? Now, there's times in life where we have to do things that we don't always love, right? We have responsibilities. But in areas where you have a choice, do you like what you're doing? Okay, if you're not enjoying what you're doing for a living, you need to take some time and examine why. Okay, there's a risk in making a change. Okay, of course, but you have to weigh the pros and cons. Okay, you want to live your life feeling fulfilled, and you don't want to wake up every morning, which is why this is such an amazing opportunity, because you can feel so many passions and still have such a great career. This is a career, you guys, and we get to do it together, right? Drinking coffee in the morning, what better? Going on trips together, meeting during the week, doing things together. And so figure out, do you like what you're doing now? She says there's a risk to changing, but there's also risk to staying, right? You risk your emotional health. There's so many different things. You risk, your family, because if you're not happy, right? Mama's not happy, nobody's happy. Second question is, what would you like to do? So first one, do you like what you're doing? Second one is, what is it that you'd like to do? Okay. When you tap into your passion, it gives you what he calls the E&E factor, energy and excellence. You know when you're doing something that you love, right? Jot down on a paper, what are some things that really make you feel filled up? Because when you're doing something that makes you feel filled up, you're naturally going to excel in other areas in life. You're going to be a really nice and fun person to be around. Passion gives you an advantage over others because one person with passion is greater than 99 who only have interest.
I'm not sure I understand.
Siri's talking to me. Passion gives you an advantage. Okay, so that's a big deal. Nothing is work, right? Nothing is work unless you would rather be doing something else. Okay, is it John Maxwell that said? I think it's John Maxwell. Somebody said, when you find what it is that you love to do, you'll never work another day in your life. Because you'll get up and you'll enjoy it and you'll love it, you'll thrive. Okay, don't just listen to your head. You have to listen to your heart because it's the best counselor out there. Okay, I'm going to go back so I can see you guys. Who here has often woke up and said, I don't feel like doing my IPA today? If you guys don't raise your hand, you're lying. Because I have. Yes. Okay. There's days I don't feel like making supper today. I still have to. My family still has to eat. I don't always feel like doing the laundry. And heck, there's a lot of things I don't feel like doing, right? But there's things that we still have to do. But listen to your heart, not your head. Because if you listen to your head, you're going to go off the rails. My head, I can't trust my head, but I can trust my heart. And if you constantly have that intuition and that pulling towards something, okay, your heart doesn't steer you wrong. It doesn't. On the bottom of page 23, okay, do you know the difference between what you want and what you're good at? Okay, that's really the question of the day. To be successful, you need to be doing what you're good at. So we often talk about let's thrive in our areas where we have strengths. Okay, someone said to me, Heidi, if you're trying to do something that's not your strength, you're actually taking it away from the person whose strength that is. You're not allowing them to operate in their gift. So as a team, right, for us to be able to do things, we've talked as Rocky Wellness Leadership. I love doing book studies. I love doing things like this. Some of the others, they're like, it's not really my strength, but they're phenomenal at other things. They're phenomenal encouragers. They're phenomenal at making graphics. They're phenomenal at organizing and all different things, right? We all have our gifts. And so you want to operate in your gifts now, not just in Plexus, but also in life, right? I stopped volunteering in the nursery at church because I always felt obligated and I just didn't love it. But I felt obligated because my kids have gone through the system. But you know where I thrive now? I started volunteering in the kitchen and I laid down the guilt. I love volunteering and making mass amounts of meals. I don't like cooking in my own kitchen, but I like making mass amounts of meals, with mass amounts of women. It's okay that I didn't enjoy the nursery. I don't have to feel bad. There are people that beg to be in there and they're going to do a much better job than me. Okay, so let's lay down the things that we don't feel passionate about and that we don't feel good at. We're going to hop over to page 24 if you have the book. Towards the bottom again, do you know why you want to do what you'd like to do? Okay, so there comes the why again. So you got to figure out, do you like what you're doing? Do you know what you want to do? Do you know what you're good at doing? And do you know why you want to do it? Okay, that why is important. He says, I believe you have the same kind of satisfaction and can experience success if you do the things you're meant to do and do them for the right reasons. Okay, we don't want to be doing things for the wrong reasons and people pleasing, right? You need time to reflect on that and explore your intentions and your attitudes behind them. Let's face it, we've all had times, let's throw it right out there. We've all had times where we want to do something either to show someone else up or to feel like we need to measure up, right? We're human. It's okay. But to have that awareness and be able to examine our inner intentions and to be able to say, you know what, yeah, I'm flesh. It's okay. It happens. But I'm aware, and this is where I get to work on my own heart, and I get to determine why am I here? Why am I doing this? And then let's correct the intentions, right? And that might redirect your course. He says, do you know what you can do so that you can do what you want to do? It's a bit of a tongue twister. Do you know what you can do so that you can know what you want to do? Okay, so awareness, number one, he has that in big bold letters. Become very conscious of every choice you make today so you can begin to make smarter choices moving forward. You might need to keep a journal, or perhaps you're just really in tune and really have great self-awareness. That's wonderful. Whatever works for you. Number two, I have a huge star here too, is action. Action is where it's at, guys. You cannot win if you don't begin. Make that a Facebook quote today. You can't win if you don't begin. The people who get ahead in the world are the ones who look for the circumstances that they want. And if they can't find them, they make them. Okay, if you can't find that perfect message to send to someone, make it and then share it. Okay, if you can't find that perfect running partner, make it happen. Make it happen. If you can't find, a great IPA sheet that works for you, make one, right? But if you want it, you'll do it, but you got to start. Okay, accountability. Make your goals public. This is why we do things together. You guys can even start jotting down your goals in the comments. Make them public. When you write them down and you make them public, you're at least 40% more, have a higher likelihood to actually hit your goals. That's really powerful. That's brain science. They've researched that. Make them public. Often the biggest reasons why we don't is because we have a fear of failure. And that fear of failure holds you back from saying, yeah, I want to go gold by December. You know why we don't share it? Because if we don't hit it, we're going to feel like a failure and we're going to feel embarrassed. This is the inner side talking. Okay, I know you guys have felt that. I felt it in my own goals. We're not a failure if we don't hit our goals. What we are is brave and we're strong. We have accountability. You have people cheerleading you. Shoot for the moon, fall amongst the stars. If you don't hit your goals, just simply move the date up. But by starting it today, you're going to be closer than you were yesterday, right? Hope that's encouraging to you. Attraction, the law of magnetism that he talked about in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I have that book too. Who you are is who you attract. So that's really important. And here's that, that famous line, birds of a feather flock together. So who are you surrounding yourself with? Because you are the sum of the 5 that you spend the most time with. It's true. It can be really eye-opening if you start to really evaluate. You're going to pick up on attitudes. You're going to pick up on mannerisms. It kind of happens subconsciously. You're going to find that when you're with certain people, you leave feeling refreshed. And when you're with others, you feel just leaving like, just kind of burdened. Right? It's important who you spend your time with and who you spend your time texting with, phone calling with, whatever it is. If you want to be around growing people, become a growing person. If you're committed, you attract others who are also committed. And if you're growing, you attract others who are growing. Isn't that encouraging? I think that's encouraging. He says, do you know people who do what you like to do? Those are the people you want to surround yourselves with. Right? You want to surround yourself with people that are doing well, that are exceeding and excelling in the areas that you want to do too. Start finding people who do what you want to do with excellence and then do what you must to learn from them. I'm currently shadowing another Plexus Jewel. I reach out to her. She's so gracious and amazing. She always answers me, and I keep it really short to respect her time. But I'm gleaning so much wisdom from her, and I'm forever thankful. Find that person for you. Don't be scared to ask and reach out. This is one Plexus after all, right? On page 28, if you have the book, highlight this section where he lists, okay, get committed. He has that in bold. Get committed today. Don't wait another day. Get committed, you guys. He says be consistent. That's huge. Be creative, okay? By being creative, he says start with their books if you can't meet them in person. So he's talking about looking up to other, mentors. I mean, look, we're doing that right now with John Maxwell. He's amazing. We're following him in his personal growth. So that's exactly what we're doing. Be purposeful. Spend 2 hours in preparation for every hour of interaction. So he's talking about when, let's just say you have a chance to meet with your mentor. If they're going to give you an hour of their time, make sure that you've spent, he's saying double, to actually prepare for it. Don't go into it not even knowing what to ask. If you've met before, or if you've had a phone call or a coaching call, don't show up and have done nothing with the info or the advice they gave you the last time, right? That's what he means by preparing. Be reflective and be grateful, right? And so that's what I do with this person. I just really chew on what she tells me, and then I put it into action. And then once I've put it into action, I watch the results for a while, and then I go back to her and say, okay, here's what I did. Here's what I'm getting. Is this the normal, or should I be changing? And that's how I've been having this relationship. It's incredibly helpful. And then on page 29, if you find a potential mentor, know that the following is your responsibility. Quick list: possess a teachable spirit. Always be prepared for the time when you're going to get together. Okay, that could be on a Zoom like this. It could be on a coaching call. It can be a coffee date, whatever. Set the agenda by you asking the great questions. Demonstrate what you've learned from your time together. So be able, like I said, right, reflect back, tell them what you've implemented and how it's going, and be accountable for what you've learned. Okay, I don't know if you guys have had coaching Zooms or if you offer them to your teams, but that's one of the most important things to me when I give someone my time. For me to continue giving that time, I need them to be able to come back to me. If they say, "Okay, I'm going to do this week," and then if I come back to them next week and they say, "Oh, haven't done it yet," I can't meet with them again until they've actually done step one, right? We have to actually have our own accountability to be able to continue. Otherwise, there's really nothing to talk about. And so that's important. So that's our job. Okay. Page 30, are we willing to pay the price for what we want to do? And then there's a quote here that says, I got to the top the hard way, fighting my own laziness and ignorance every step of the way. None of us are immune. We all have to go through the same battles, but we can do it. And that's the difference between, are you willing to fight over top of those fleshly desires to be able to get where you want to go? Okay, you're going to have to be kicking and screaming like an octopus in a mesh bag sometimes, but you can do it. You can absolutely do it. When you have time, if you have the audiobook or the actual book, read the bottom of page 30 and 31. There's a great, it's a piece it's something called Dream Big, and it's just a really neat piece. So try to get a hold of that. And then number 9, he says, when can we start doing what we would actually like to do? Okay, and he says, why not now? Right? And then you say, well, because I'm not ready. Well, okay, if you're not, but if you wait till you are ready, you're never going to start. Do you remember last week we said the longer you wait to get going, the less your chances are of actually hitting your goal? So the biggest thing I hear in our industry is, I can't share yet. I don't know the comp plan enough yet. I don't know enough about the products. Guys, you got to learn while you earn. Don't worry about if you don't know all the details. We've got all the info sheets and the videos. Just press copy, paste forward. Right? Connect in a 3-way chat. Someone is going to know the answer. Don't hold yourself back, because if you wait till you're perfectly ready, I'm the furthest thing from being the perfectly ready leader. Okay? But I just have to go and hope that I learn on the go, right? If you wait till you're ready, you're never going to be there. We'll never have arrived. It's like waiting to be the perfect parent. By the time you kind of have it figured out, they're graduating. Okay? That's how I'm feeling anyways. And I'm pretty sure that you guys are feeling the same if you're a mom. Nobody ever got going by waiting. I love that. Nobody ever gets going by waiting. You only get ready by actually starting. Do you remember how I said when I was doing my first kind of sip and see or gut health nights? You guys remember that? I was talking about that. I was wearing Kurt's deodorant. I had no idea. I knew what I was saying. I knew my story, but I didn't have all the facts straight. But I just started going. And I get the 25, 40 people showing up, and I just had to go whether I was ready or not. But I had to make the choice. Either I'm going to do this or I'm not, but I don't think I'm ever going to be ready. So I threw myself out there. And you guys can do that too. Okay, what would it be like when you get to do what you'd like to do? Start dreaming, start imagining what's that going to feel like. You'll be so thrilled, because he says when you do what you want to do, it'll be more difficult than you ever imagined, but it's also going to be so much more rewarding. And I'm on page 32. He says, because when you do what you've always wanted to do, it's going to be better than you have ever imagined. Yeah, there's going to be hard times, but you have no idea what's waiting on the other side of your comfort zone. When I started investing in my personal growth, I didn't anticipate a compounding return. For me personally, for the individuals I mentored, and for my team, and I never dreamed it would be this much fun. Nothing else compares to doing what you were created to do. Nothing. It's so rewarding, so fulfilling. If we even had half an idea what was waiting beyond that personal development and not just, I'm just going to go, we would all have started yesterday, right? If we would know what was waiting. So at the very end of this chapter, bottom of 33, there's 2 great days in a person's life: the day you were born and the day that you discover why. Those are 2 pretty big things. I want to encourage you, he says, to seek out what you were put on this earth to do, then pursue it with all your effort, right? I like to say with all your heart. Any questions or comments on chapter 2 before we dive right into chapter 3? Anything someone wants to add? Something that stood out? Okay, basically law of awareness, right? Let's figure out where we're going, what we want to do, if we even like what we're doing, if you need to make a course change, whatever that might be. Okay, can't see you all, but we're okay to hop into chapter 3? Yeah, okay. We may or may not get all the way through it. Chapter 3, this is super awesome to me. This is the law of the mirror. Okay, I'm going to put us back on speaker. This is the law of the mirror. You have to see value in yourself to add value to yourself. Okay, you have to see that you're worthy, that you're worth it, that people want to hear what you have to say, that you are worth that time of self-development. You're worth self-care. You're worth doing what you enjoy doing. Right? You don't have to be 100% sacrificing and doing things and going through life with things you really just don't like to do. If you love connecting and helping people, you are in the right place and you're worth it. You are so worth it. He says, so why do many people fail to grow then and reach their potential? You guys know what the number one reason is? It's low self-esteem. And I can totally vouch for that. I see it every single day. The only reason 99% of the time that people don't actually plan that sip and see, get on a team Zoom, do the IP challenge is because of low self-esteem and a lack of inner self-confidence. And that, you guys, is so sad to me. So sad because I can see the potential and I want to breathe belief into every single person that I see doing this, but it has to come from inside. I can't. And I've lost sleep for some where I see this incredible potential, but that low self-esteem aspect, right? If we don't believe in who we are and what we're worth and believe in ourselves, you get stuck. So hop over to page 38. He says, I just had to be determined, motivated, and focused. Okay, if you get a goal, you kind of have to lay down the lies. There's so many lies that we believe. Rachel Hollis's, right? Girl, Wash Your Face, with all the lies that she goes through. That is an amazing book. You have to put that aside because the world is always coming at you with all these voices and insecurities and trying to measure up, right? You got to put that aside. Because here's the power of positive self-esteem. Page 39. If you don't realize that you have genuine value, that you're worth investing in, then you will never put in the time and the effort. Isn't that sobering? Okay, you're never, if you can't see it, you're not going to make it a priority and you won't put in the value and the effort to grow your business or to sit down and make time to read a self-development book, right? It's hard to self-reflect, but if you can't see that you're worth it and that you have value, you will never put in the time to make it a priority. Something will always come up. And I see it often. Bev, it says my internet is unstable. Am I choppy? No? Okay, awesome. Self-esteem is the single most significant piece to a person's behavior. We like to hide behind saying, I'm just shy. I'm not a people person. I'm an introvert. Sometimes that's true. 95% of the time, that's actually you're hiding behind a curtain of insecurity, right? You actually love being around people, but you don't feel like you're worth it. You don't feel like what you have to say is important. You don't feel like what you say might come out right? You're worried about what are people going to think. They're just going to look at me and think I'm stupid. Anybody not had, I need to see you guys. Anybody wanted to do a sip and see and scared that no one's going to show up? Yep. Right? Anyone scared to do one because you might not say it right? Come on, I know you are. Yeah, right? Anyone been worried that someone's going to ask a question that you don't know how to answer? That you might not be knowledgeable enough? Yeah? Okay, you guys, we have all been there. There's nothing that differentiates us from each other. Absolutely nothing. Okay. I have paid $150 for room rent once. Okay. If you want to talk about taking risks, and advertised a sip and see, and guess what? Not a single person showed up. It happens to all of us. But did you see me stop doing sip and sees? No. Yeah, no one showed up. It sucked the big onion. Let's be honest. Okay? It was a whole bunch of learning and realizing, you know what? I need to do things a little differently. I need to find different venues, different spaces. I need to get people on board with me before I just start forking this all out, right? There has to be give and take, but I still did it. You just have to get out there. It's okay. The people who are meant to be are going to show up when they're supposed to show up. But you have to just get out there. It's okay if they say no, detach. You know what? They did not show up because of anything I did wrong. And that's what I want to encourage you in. Do you know why they didn't show up? They didn't make themselves a priority. They didn't make themselves a priority, right? They don't value themselves enough to learn because a bunch of them said, oh, I'm coming. They just didn't show up, which is why we rented the space. Okay. It wasn't important enough to them. Okay. Did that reflect on me? Someone shake your head. No. Didn't reflect on me. It doesn't reflect on you guys either. If you have a sip and see, no one comes, you know what? That was great practice. Inviting, copy and pasting messages, getting ready. I don't know, invite a girlfriend or have a date with your husband with what you prepared, right? Just make the best of it and it's okay. And be proud that you actually took a step forward. Okay? We're moving on. Back to self-esteem. There's a quote in here that says, no factor is more important in people's psychological development and motivation than the value judgments that they make about themselves. How you judge and feel about yourself is so much more important than what somebody else thinks of you. So much more important because how you think of yourself actually determines what you're going to do and the actions that you're going to carry out. Every aspect of their lives is impacted by the way they see themselves. Wouldn't you have to tend to agree with that? Okay? The actions and the things that we actually do are completely determined with how we value ourselves. If you're confident in yourself and you know what you have is good to offer, you are not going to care when somebody says no. The only difference between someone who's already attained a level that we want to attain is they've had more no's than we have. Nobody's immune. Nobody's exempt. They've just gone through more people. You guys, it's just sift and sort. It is just a numbers game. Okay? We've talked about the waitress and the coffee example, right? If you haven't heard it, ask a friend. Okay? She keeps offering coffee. Her coffee isn't bad. She doesn't care if someone didn't want coffee that morning. Her coffee, there's nothing wrong with her coffee. Okay? Low self-esteem puts a ceiling on your potential, which is the law of the lid in his other book. Okay? It really, really does. It is the only thing, you guys, holding you back. It is the only thing holding you back. I'm going to say that one more time. Okay? Your level of self-esteem and what you think and how you believe about yourself is the only thing holding you back in your business. The only thing. If your desire is a 10, but your self-esteem is a 5, you will never perform at a level 10. You'll perform at a 5 or lower. That's the law of the lid. Okay? People are never able to outperform their own self-image. This is why we're doing book studies on the laws of growth. This is why you hear the Jewel saying that whenever there's a holdup in our business, I had to chew on this. I probably cried a few times. You guys, I'm never going to not be real with you. Okay? I have the same feelings and emotions that you do, right? Don't ever put me on a pedestal as she's got it all figured out. I so don't. I'm walking right alongside you guys, not in front, right beside. And you often hear them say, if you are kind of like plateaued in your business, it's character development and self-growth. And at first I was like, I had a big huff. I was like, she has no idea. But I was honest enough to be like, you know what? That's actually true. It's actually true. And the more books that I read, I bought a whole stack of all of Fallon Black's books. The more that I read, the more true that becomes. It is so true in any area of your life. Okay? You shouldn't become too concerned about what others might think of you. You should be more concerned about what you think of yourself. That is so freeing. Somebody smile and say an amen. Don't worry about what others think of you. Be respectful. Have good morals. Never let go of your integrity or I'm going to spank your bum. Okay? Have integrity. Keep your morals. Be a nice person. But don't worry about what somebody else thinks of you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what they think of this industry. Don't worry about, I've got someone who thinks that I'm not going to tell you because I am doing this when I should just really be cooking, okay? And being in the kitchen. We all have it, but I just really don't care. I'm still nice to them, but I thought, you know what? It's okay. They don't understand. It's okay. My husband and I get it. Our kids get it. Doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks, okay? Don't worry about it. What you think of yourself, you guys, if you guys feel comfortable with what you're doing, you're on the right track. Okay, steps to build your self-image, guard your self-talk. All right, we did the switch on your brain. What you're telling yourself every day is critical. You're going to hear some stuff that is totally off the rails, and you're going to find you're going to become really good at it. It's going to come. It's like when I learned anxiety, the thoughts are going to come. They won't stop until Jesus comes back on earth. They won't. They're going to come. You're going to hear things like you're not worth it, or you just sounded really stupid, or you don't know enough. You're going to hear them, but what are you going to do with it? Okay, that's what I'm passionate about. What are you going to do with it? This is not a thought, but here's a really good example on how everybody has to deal with this. Okay, when I do the 3-6-9-12 IPA, I'm not immune from the Facebook scroll. As a matter of fact, I scroll more than anybody on here probably. And so I'll be really intent on what I'm doing, and then I'll get somewhere, and then I'm like, woo, what's that post? And I actually out loud now stop myself and say a few words. Heidi, quit the scroll. And when I tell myself stop it, I go straight back to what I was doing. The funny part is I have to do it about 10 times in 30 minutes. But do you know what the difference is? Awareness, and I'm stopping the process. So when you hear yourself, like, you know, I don't know, one of you says, I don't know if I'm ever really going to be able to do this. You stop that right now. The thought came, but you don't have to take it in. You say, oh, yes, I am. Move on to the next thing, right? Don't chew on it. Oh, yes, I am. I can do this, right? Well, you don't know enough. What if they ask something? Then I'll get the answer. Okay, what you say to yourself is a big deal. So that's self-talk. Let me just watch the time here. Okay, if we want to change our lives, we have to change the way we think and the way we talk to ourselves. Okay, and ourselves is that key word. Don't you have enough problems in life already that you don't need to be, right, dealing with yourself yet? Okay, why add to them by discouraging yourself every single day with negative self-talk? The world has enough problems, you guys. Let's not add to them, right? How come we always let ourselves down first? We talked about that last week. Let's not let ourselves down first. Don't be mean to yourself. We teach our kids, be nice to everybody, and then we're just terrible to our own selves, right? Let's be nice to ourselves. You need to learn to become your own encourager, your own cheerleader, because you know what? People are going to let you down in life. Anyone ever been let down? If I have expectations of my husband to make me feel warm and cozy every single day when he's got 1,000 other things to do, guess what's typically going to happen? And he's amazing, by the way. I'm going to have days where I'm totally let down and disappointed. I can't leave that responsibility up to him, right? It can't be the sole responsibility of my own, plexus leader, right? Or whoever I'm linked arms with, or for you guys too. It can't be their sole responsibility to constantly be on your back encouraging you. They're going to be there. They're going to do that, but you can't base it strictly on that. You've got to be your biggest cheerleader, your biggest encourager. And then we all link arms together, but it has to start with us first. Every time you choose discipline over indulging, and indulging can be, time, it can be how you talk to yourself. Don't tell yourself that you should, oh, hang on, let me just read this. Every time you choose discipline over indulgence, don't tell yourself that you should have anyway. Recognize how much that you're helping yourself. Okay? Reward yourself, praise yourself. Stop comparing yourself to others, guys. Stop comparing. Okay? What happens when you compare yourself? Usually it's one of two things. You either perceive that person as being way beyond yourself, right? They've got it way figured out. They're doing way better than me. And you feel discouraged. Or the other way around, you perceive yourself as being better than somebody else. And that's probably a scarier place to be when pride takes root, right? We're not better than anyone else. I hate it when people are just ooh and ah over singers and country singers and rock stars and people on stage. They're just people. They have to put their pants on the same way we do every morning, right? But yet we just fall at their feet. I think that's just absolute craziness. Do I love their music? I love music, loud music. Of course I do. But there's nothing about anyone else that has them on a pedestal above me. We're all created the same. We all have the same gifts. We have gifts to offer. What we say matters, right? It's so important. Your mission is to become better today than you were yesterday, not to compare yourself to someone else. Okay? It'll take self-discipline. It's hard, right? But so long as you're moving forward, don't worry about what anyone else is doing, right? Just put your head down and make sure that you have a plan of action. Okay? Move beyond your limiting beliefs. Okay, he says, unfortunately, that's the way a lot of people think about themselves. They have this limiting belief. They don't believe they can accomplish great things. That's another setback in your business. If you don't believe that you can be a jewel on that stage at convention, that's going to be your biggest holdup. You have to believe, of course you can. The greatest limitations people experience on their lives are usually the ones that we impose on ourselves. And I would say that that's totally true. When a man has put a limit on what he will do, he's put a limit on what he can do. When a man puts a limit on what he will do, he also puts a limit on what he can. It's the law of the lid, right? Okay, in the book, The Success Principle, 4 steps to transform limiting beliefs, and we're going to end here today. Changing a limiting belief into an empowering belief. Number 1, identify a limiting belief that you want to change. Starts with awareness, right? Write it down. What's just one thing? Don't write down 10. What would just be one thing that you would love to change about yourself? Okay, number 2, determine how this belief limits you. How's it holding you up? Number 3, decide how you want to be, how you want to act, how you want to feel. Okay, so 1, we're going to identify that limiting belief. Number 2, we're going to determine how it makes you feel. Number 3, we're going to decide how you want to act and be and feel. And number 4 is create a turnaround statement, right? So this would be like an affirmation that affirms and gives you permission to act and feel the way that you want to, right? I am enough. It does matter what I have to say, right? If I get a question, you guys, I still get questions I don't know the answer to, right? You get a question, people love honesty. Just say, you know what, that I always say, that is a fantastic question. I'd love to know the answer too. So I'm going to make sure that I seek it out and I'm going to get back to you. I've done that in the middle of a sip and see. You got 40 people, 25, 40 people staring at you and you don't know the answer. Whatever. They're going to, at least they're going to know that I'm a real human being. Because if I have all the answers and never have to seek anything out, you know what that does? People look at you and say, I'm never going to be able to be that. Right? I'm never going to be able to be that. I'm never going to be able to know anything. Okay? So just be authentic, be real. People love that. Okay, we're going to stop there. So that was the end. Well, I'll give you one more line here I have actually highlighted. And then that'll give us a good starting place next week. He says at the end of this one thought here, okay, about moving beyond your limiting beliefs, it isn't what you are that holds you back. It's what you think you're not. Ooh, that's powerful. It's not what you are that holds you back. It's what you think you're not. Okay? Okay, so that puts us about in the middle of chapter, exactly about the middle of chapter 3. And so that is on page 44. If you're reading the book, we will start with number 4 next week, which is adding value to others. And so we'll probably try and go to the end of chapter 4 next week, which is going to be the law of reflection. And that is going to take you to the end if you're reading page 68. Okay, so that would be homework for this week, is reading to the end of 68 if you have the audiobook or the book, and to chapter 4. We'll finish 3 and plug into 4. And then I would love you to come back next week and to have written down, and we'll take a few minutes to share on what that limiting belief is. You know, what it is that you're going to kind of think about this week and how you can change. Don't try to change 5, just try to work on 1, right? Because 1 step forward at a time. Don't worry about what next month looks like. Let's only do 1 day at a time. Do your best today. Tomorrow's a different day. Don't even worry about tomorrow yet, right? Let's just get through today. That's all I have capacity for. I can't think about too many days in advance. Okay, thoughts, questions. Go ahead and unmute yourselves if you'd like to share. I'd love to hear from you. I wish we had 3 hours every Saturday morning. Feel like we could sit here all day, especially it's cloudy and rainy here today. Anybody have anything that they want to say? You're all good? Okay, so then we will see each other next week. Again, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you, Heidi.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
You're welcome.